In the society that we live today, it has never been so easy for young men to be in the top 1% caliber of human beings. It has never been so easy for young men of our age to outperform all of their competitors and to build themselves up to be a high level man because of a lack of competition and because of every single sort of resource that we've got access to nowadays. However, as the years progress and as we progress as human beings, as we progress as society, men specifically are losing more and more and more value, and men are becoming even less powerful. The way society looks right now is the top 1% are in the top 1%, but there's no middle ground. You're either in the top 1%, you're in the type of guys that are killing it in all aspects of life. Okay, they're making all the money, they're getting all the girls, they're having all the fun, and they've got, the ideal Chad social life that you all saw in high school Hollywood movies that you used to watch. And then we've got another bucket of people that are just bottom of the barrel. Okay, there's really no sort of middle sort of section anymore with people that are almost there. So either you're in the top 1% of men nowadays, especially within social media, or you're way down below because you're not taking action and because you're not taking use of what we have as human beings. Genuinely, for young men right now, it has never been so easy for you to be a top 1% guy. We have the most tools ever. We have social media. Okay, we've got the most time. Okay, we've got the most information on how to improve our energy. But most men are sloppy. They're overweight. They're broke. They're working 9 to 5s, and they're slaves to dopamine, and they're slaves to vices. They're slaves to these, man-made man-made traps that have been put in the universe and that have been put in the hands of young men in order to stop us from being as powerful. If we look back to men and great powerful men like Julius Caesar and Alexander the Great, it was so much harder. It was a considerably harder to be a great man back then, but there were still more great men around than there are today. In order to be a great man back in those days, okay, back in the BC days, you had to conquer, you had to enslave villages, okay, you had to conquer places on horseback, and either if the opposition didn't surrender, you had to fight until the death in order for you to come out victorious with a 50-50% chance that you were going to lose. And yet there were still more brave, honorable, and more successful men. But anyways, now that we understand, and you guys watching this video right now that you understand that the bar in order to be a successful man is so low, but yet there's still less successful men and there's still less top 1% men than there was back then. Let me show you exactly the three main things and the three main categories that you need to focus on in order to become a top 1% man in your early 20s. Section number 1 is your health. Okay. As a man, the bare minimum, okay, and the bare minimum, the thing that you can change right now, okay, things like money and things like all of these other things that we're going to get into, they're a little bit of a harder fix, but the thing that you can change right now is your health. Genuinely, if you're a young man and if you want decent testosterone, if you're a young man, you want decent testosterone, and you want to even put yourself in a fighting chance of performing at your highest level, you need to be working out 6 times a day. No, 6 times a day. You need to be working out 6 times a week minimum. Genuinely, right? From Monday to Saturday, you need to have at least a 30 to 45 minute period in your day. And you can't use the excuse that you work, because when you finish work, you've got time. There needs to be a 30 to 45 minute window where you focus on your body and you put yourself through a moderate to hard workout 6 days a week. I promise you, if you do this over the span of 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you do this matched with a healthy diet, which we're going to get into, your physique will be in the top 1% of men. Okay, the majority of men, like it is, you fall into another. It's the same thing. You've either got men that are super shredded with amazing physiques, or you've got men with mid substandard physiques that don't go to the gym. Okay, it's either you play the game well and you actually try and compete with this physique, or you are happy with living an average life, having an average physique. Okay, so if you go to the gym 6 times a week, genuinely as a young man from Monday to Saturday, and you spend 30 to 40 minutes in the gym, you are already putting yourself in the top 1% of men in your 20s. If you compare this as well with a healthy diet, and when I say healthy diet, I mean good protein, good carbs, fresh, and non-processed slop. I can't spell. Fresh and non-processed slop slash meat. Cut out seed oils. Okay. And cut out greasy takeaways. Not only will your energy be the best that you've ever seen, but your skin, okay, the way you perform and your physique will be the best. So the number one thing is health. Second thing is finances. Now, genuinely, as a young man, if you can make upwards of 5K plus in your 20s, you're making more than most people. I don't quite know what the average salary is in the UK specifically, but if you're making 5K plus in your 20s, you are earning more than your competition and other men your age, okay? Now, I post tons of videos on specifically how I've been able to make money myself, how I've been able to embark on this journey of self-improvement. Please go on my YouTube. I've got tons of free guides. But if I was to break it down into a few key steps, right? The way you make money in today's society is based on your value. You know what I mean? The amount of value you provide, is the amount of money you make. So your main focus as a young man needs to be on acquiring skills to increase value. You need to acquire as much skills as possible in order to increase your value. And the way you do that is by learning is in the name, a high value skill. And then you monetize that, okay? And there's thousands of high value skills, okay? There's trading, there's sales, there's e-commerce, okay? Now some of these things are more skills than others. Some of these things are just, learning a concept. But if you learn a valuable concept like this and you monetize that, okay, you can earn above 5K plus within a matter of months. Okay, so the main two principles that you first need to follow is getting your health in check and then getting your finances in check. And the final thing that you need to focus on as a young man in order to be top 1% in your 20s is your relationships. Now, when I say relationships, I'm not explicitly talking about your relationships with women, the amount of girls that you get, although that is an important aspect and that is an important element of this. But by relationships, I mean the people that you have around you, okay? You may have heard the analogy that you are, like the five people you hang around with. But you are actually the 5 people you compare yourself with. So what this means is, if you're hanging around bottom of the barrel men, whenever you complete an action or whenever you do something on a day-to-day basis, you are going to assess how you're behaving. And even if you try and, contradict yourself, and even if you know that it's the wrong thing, you are going to assess how you're behaving to those people, those bottom of the barrel people that you're hanging around with. But if you're hanging with top 1% people, if you've got, and when I say top 1% people, I don't mean people that are rich, making all of the money in the world. I mean people that are focused on self-improvement. Like, they've got a mission and they've got a core value and they're good men, they're good people, and they are on their grind. They are on their ascent to being top high level men. If you're hanging around with top 1% men, When you're acting, the way you're acting on a day-to-day basis, instead of comparing yourself to those bottom of the barrel people, you are going to think, what would my friends think if I did this? What would my friends think if they saw me doing this? Like, is this the type of man that I want them to see? Is this the type of man that they'd respect? And if you can ask yourself that and you acknowledge that what I'm doing isn't building me the respect that I want, if you compare your actions and if you assess your actions to high level people, guess what? You will start to act like a high level man. That's why it's so important to have good mentors and also good people that are on the same mission and that have aligned values of you and that are ambitious and that they're actually trying to do good things and achieve greatness in their life next to you, as that is what allows you to perform at your highest level, at your peakest, capability. If you hang around with bums every single day, you're not going to want to be motivated because you're going to see what they're doing and you're going to, the law of like, it's like crabs in a bucket, right? You at the end of the day, whoever you're around, you want to be like them. You are going to act like them. You are going to conform to the little things that they do, the broke habits that they have, and you are going to forever stay a bottom, a bottom 90% man because you are not around the right people. So genuinely, as a young man, if you can focus on your health, your finances, and your relationships, okay, you can find a brotherhood. Find a brotherhood of good young men that are on the same mission. Like genuinely, there's so many like online groups that you can join. You can join so many like just either networking groups or even groups where you learn a skill. You can find a group that actually allows you to improve your finances, network with the boys in there. So, you killed two birds with one stone. And now you're working in your finances and you're also working in your relationships as well. Because genuinely in life, regardless of the health or regardless of the finances, life is nothing without the relationships. Okay. And that's why you need all three of these aspects. As long as you have all three of those core aspects, you will live an amazing life and you will enable yourself to be a top 1% man.